Welcome back to the class, everyone. We are currently in our second match of this 5v5 GAC season. We did win our last match, so we're coming kind of off of a high of that. And now we get to do all kinds of fun things against this opponent, Rotzi. So we'll go in here and we'll show the board. But before we do that, let's actually go ahead and look at his overall stats compared to ours. They're not all that different from our last opponent, as you can see here. He does have about 300 more relic levels, I guess 282 if we're not really wanting to round. And he does have about the same amount of Omicrons as well. He's gotten a lot closer to our mods than our last opponent. We had a risk rating of 10 in comparison to our last opponent. Whereas this guy, he actually has the advantage overall on us just because he has a lot higher number in his 6-dot mods. But overall, pretty close. I think the big separating point is going to be the fact that he has Jabba. Although, unlike our last opponent, he doesn't have Afra. So that is really nice for us coming into here. So his front wall is pretty sturdy. He has C with Savage. We're probably just going to have to see what that and just call it a day. I really don't know what Bosk is doing there. I guess it's the dark side tank. Jabba down below, that'll be SLKR. Not sure what we're going to do against Darth Revan because they have the turn meter, so I can't just trooper it. And the raid team is just going to have to be JML. I really don't have another solution on offense for that. And then the top wall doesn't scare me all that much. We have Gas, which will be Inquisitors. Malgus, which will probably be our own Gas. There's no Treyacron there, so that's kind of fun for us. Grievous for CLS, and then I guess Bad Batch or something for Qui-Gon Jinn and check speeds. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get to those battles. We're going to be starting off with our SLKR versus Jabba match. Just looking kind of at the bottom wall, needing to beat this Galactic Legends. This is where we have to start. I have not had a lot of issues with this fight in general. I did lose recently once with it in TW because they had both the Embocron as well as the hired muscle level 9 for the Datacron, and that seemed to cause me some issues, but for the most part we've been fine. So this worked out kind of wonky because they went first and messed up my turn order, so we had to basic with Hux first. That really isn't the end of the world. I guess it is important to note that it's good if your Hux does go first. Don't use any of the specials, because if you do, number one, nobody will assist on the call to assist, because we all have that kind of status effect that Boosh gives out to everyone. And on top of that, you also don't want to swap turns to decrease someone's cooldowns when they have no cooldowns to decrease. So we wait until our SLKR is able to be called, and then we call him. And things right now are going well for the most part. We're already able to get into our first ult. They haven't killed anyone yet, and hopefully what will happen is when they do start to finally kill people, our lobster will go and we'll have 100% ult by the time it comes around. Unfortunately for us, they do start getting to a lot of those killings, especially with our lobster already down, which isn't great. But by this time, we've already killed Boosh as well as Scandal, and this is really weird. This is really weird. I don't think I've ever done this battle where Hux just kind of survives. I'm not sure what happened in either his modding or my DCs or what that made that happen, but kind of weird. I'll take it either way. Up next, we have JML versus Rey. This battle is a little bit tricky. I've actually been seeing some people lose it. You really have to know all the intricacies of Jedi Master Luke's kit. I think one of the biggest ones that I've been seeing a lot of people misplay is really understanding how important the lead ability we get from Jedi Master Luke is, and how you really want to use it before you have his ultimate unlocked. You want to be constantly calling the other Jedi that aren't Jedi Master Luke to assist. If you call Jedi Master Luke to assist, you're not spreading as much. I forget what the actual buff is called, Jedi's Legacy or something like that, and you're not going to get to your ult nearly as fast. So other thing that is worth saying here, when you're not trying to actively kill a target, it is really good to wipe off the Inspired off of Rey by critting her, because when we do that, every single time we're calling someone to assist and we're gaining turn meter, we're not actually feeding her into a bunch of damage. So for the most part, we're doing super well here. Again, we're trying to crit the enemy Rey now so that we can make sure that she gets rid of her Inspired, so she can keep gaining a bunch of mastery, and then ultimately, like, her lead ability isn't doing that, or her ultimate isn't doing that much damage. We did have to juggle things quite a bit there between Dash, Vandor, and L3, just because of another layer of revive mechanics on top of this team already. It is worth saying that in 5s, or rather 3s, this team does really struggle to win. In fact, I think it just loses the vast majority of the time, because we'll see it here a little bit. Ben is just going to keep on reviving and reviving and reviving, because our Jedi Master Luke, who's faster than everyone else on my team, keeps taking turns, especially when we give him turn meter like we just did there. So again, we're gonna have to take another ultimate, trying to get rid of the inspired off of Rey. Couldn't do so super quickly, but again, we've done it enough that her damage just isn't quite there. And then between the other 4 side characters we have, we're able to kill Rey before Jedi Master Luke takes a turn and revives Ben Solo. So really solid counter, but you really do have to understand all the little things that it does. This team is weird. So I don't really know what Bosk is doing there. In fact, I don't like it at all. I think I'm just thinking back now, like how badly you hurt your bounty hunters in offense by putting Boss there. Savage, I'm actually pretty okay with. He kind of makes this a pain. We were partially considering Wampa, and Wampa just can't get through him, or at least that's my understanding of it. So we took in our C as well with Watt, and then we have a Datacron actually that is going to be able to give us offense and crit damage up every time. The reason why we took that is because this enemy C with his Datacron has 366% tenacity. Basically meaning we're never going to land our shock on him. We are going to have to be able to just hit him with raw damage. I looked through my potency Datacrons, and the best I could come up with would not get me even close to being within range. So we just went ahead and went for the offense. I was trying to do this fancy thing here where if I kill Bosk, then I'll actually be able to link their C, and I will be able to keep him recovering from protection because he won't have any, because we can actually take his protection away. But Bosk was too hard to kill, so I'm like, all right, let's just cut our losses. If we can't kill him here, Wampa will easily clean him up next, especially because he'll be getting double the amount of stats from his Omicron. So their C actually does hit his ult, and that's actually helpful for us because now they won't ever recover any protection because they don't have that ability anymore. And now it's just a matter of time before we can work them down. We'll work them down before they work us down, just because we have the tank tech and we're constantly recovering our protection, whereas they don't have anything. And C, fortunately for us, but unfortunately for him, just did not have enough health steal to actually be able to recover, and then we get to our big ult. Oh, there's the calculator on the screen. That's fun from the stream. This was fun. This was really, really fun. So he split up his Darth Revan and Malgus teams to make this really kind of tricky team with HK Kron, where HK will go 100% first. He will fear everyone and then just supposed to destroy your team. But Qui-Gon Jinn just said no. And as you guys all saw, they killed Qui-Gon Jinn, and then Jedi Anakin just leveled the entire team. And then between Mace, Cam, and Jedi Anakin, they have everything you need to kill a Malak. You need health reduction, you need armor shred, you need healing immunity, and all the 3 of them had everything. They just killed them. It was, man, Qui-Gon Jinn, defensively, he's kind of gone down the tubes, or actually that's kind of ironic given what will happen later. But offensively, he is just so good. He saved my butt both in this battle versus that team, as well as versus the Afro team in our last battle. But now we're doing this one, and this one does sketch me out a little, just because their Kron had a whole lot of tenacity, so I knew that we were going to have a harder time landing the initial exposes, which did end up turning out to be true. We did take in a revive Kron so that if our Magna goes down, we at least get him back. But we were able to land one target lock on Han at the very beginning, and we just kept milking that. I kept trying to avoid using my AoEs because I didn't want to get countered by everyone else. We do lose Newt, which actually is really not good. Like he's really the reason why this works, because we can gain so much more turn meter because we're technically hitting the opponents twice because of how his unique interacts with debuffs. That being said, this ends up working out fine. We do kill 3PO just because I didn't want to have to dealing with the 100% tenacity CLS is a pain in the butt. So we wait for him to switch sides, use a basic so that we can apply target lock, and then just kill him. So 57 banners. Thank you very much, Grievous. And now, again, this is why I'm really not a big fan. I know there are some people who've been able to do it successfully, but I'm really not a big fan of splitting up your Malgus and your Darth Revan teams, because I get to beat your Darth Revan with Qui-Gon Jinn, even though you have this really nice HK Kron where you go first and feel everyone, and then I get to use my bounty hunters versus your Traya team. And this battle, I almost want to skip ahead a little bit. Once you kill Malgus in the very beginning, like Malgus's lead actually does still do some pretty cool things even with him being dead. And I think the Kron on this had 160 or 170% armor or something like that. So even though my aura is finally, somewhat geared, she's now R6 versus the Gear 12 variant that we have been using for a while, we just have to annihilate every single character. I might actually skip a little bit ahead in this just to I guess the annihilates on Mando are cool, but it just ends up coming down to that every single time. We did not have enough damage to kill any of them with just our normal damage. And luckily, the retribution and grief, you just end up getting so many crits, and then you just end up being able to take them out really easily. So this didn't have the Treyacron, for what it's worth. I don't know if everyone saw that in the very beginning. This was just pure Malgus Crons. I don't know if the Treyacron would have really affected... I guess they would have had more offense. The survivability didn't matter because Mando was annihilating everyone at the end of the day. But anyway, sorry. So now we have to gas Mir, and this is an older counter, but it checks out. This is kind of the reason why we're doing this here and why we did Bounty Hunters versus Malgus, because I was trying to figure out a way to beat his JMK in back. I didn't show it, but we got through his back wall, and he had JMK in there. And I don't really have all the meta teams I need to be able to split and to actually make a full clear, so we were trying something kind of weird, where I was going to try to bank on my Grand Inquisitor actually being able to beat most of JMK, and then maybe Bad Batch and Wampa, between the two of the teams, not together, but the two different teams, they can typically clear up like a leftover JMK team. That being said, so we wanted to use gas here, because the other thought was to use Bounty Hunters and gas versus JMK, which is a really solid two-shot. The issue with that is I would not have two teams to be able to take this out. Grand Inquisitor could have beaten one of them, but then the other one we didn't have a solution to. That being said, I mean, this is going fine. For those of you who weren't around for the gas meta, this is the easiest arena climb ever. Literally, all you have to do is make sure you kill 5s and don't trigger sacrifice. The AI is not that smart, and they won't. So even if you're out modded and out relicked or whatever, or out relicked and out modded, you still just win. So this was one unfortunate side effect of our whole JMK plan. I did not have a good counter for Qui-Gon Jinn, but I was like, all right, this will probably be fine. What we'll end up doing here is we'll just use troopers. We'll kill Qui-Gon Jinn, and then we'll clean it up with Nisus or something. Like, it probably just doesn't matter. But I was trying to be fancy here, and this actually had a lot of risk to it, so I don't know if this is that great of an idea. But I was trying to time it right so that our AoE with Veers would be what kills Qui-Gon, because if that happens, there's a chance Jedi Anakin gets ability blocked and then only rips one stack off of their or off of our Dark. That being said, this is really hard to juggle with Mace there, because we can't touch anyone else's protection, otherwise he'll taunt, and we also can't let him dip below 50% health, because then Jedi Anakin will just blow us up. So yeah, the conclusion of this makes honestly quite a bit of sense, but even if I could go back, and you'll see here, the ability block doesn't land, so the whole plan doesn't work at all. He just blows up our team. But even if the ability block did land, the strategy behind this was not solid. Like, there was so much room for RNG to just screw us, but anyways. So, we're going to go ahead and take our Inquisitors here. This one, I didn't think this fully through when we were doing this. I've been using this counter a lot in Squad Arena, but in Squad Arena they have gas and not Padme, and I didn't think through how destructive, or obstructive, or however you want to say that, Padme was going to be with Seventh Sister constantly being called in to assist and just generating protection up. Like, we don't make, spoiler, we don't make like any ground here. Like, we just can't beat it. It does not help that I did not have the GI cron for this. If you didn't notice at the very beginning, this is actually the 9th cron. 9th cron is okay, but it doesn't, you really need to have the damage immunity and everything else that comes with it to be able to beat JMK. At least I haven't really been able to beat it that much in Arena. And they killed GI, and then that battle's just over. So our plan is now shifted, and we're able to use Generate Revan here. We were planning on using Generate Revan versus Adrad, but now that we have Bad Batch for Adrad, everything's fine. So realistically, this actually, I don't know how this counter would have done, at least at these gear levels. Generate Revan is a pretty solid counter to Qui-Gon Jinn, but knowing like his stats versus my stats, I don't know if that would have actually worked. And we do misplay here a little bit in the kill order. Killing Jedi Anakin first was wise, but we should have tried to immediately go after Cam next, because what ends up happening here, you'll see it. Barriss Zeta gives everyone a stupid amount of health back every single time they're crit, and Cam increases everyone's max health, and Mace also just has a very large max health, so we can't really make any progress on him. It was really dumb to mark him. I understand why I didn't mark Cam in the moment, because he was in his defensive mode where he's actually, again, super hard to kill like he is right now. But going after Cam immediately would have been the better option. Or at least what we're going to try to do here, and we'll see this, is we're actually going to mark Barris, and now with all of our weak hits that will heal people, we'll hit Barris, and all the strong hits we'll just go ahead and hit Mace. That way we can at least kill Mace and just be done with him. So not the right turn order, or not the right kill order, but as you can see, it works out just fine. Trying to let Cam do his thing so that we can eventually just make sure that he goes into his attack mode and then we can kill him, which he just did. So now he is primed to be killed. He has a much smaller health pool than, say, Mace does, so he will go down quite a bit easier. We don't necessarily need to do all those super weak hits onto Barris. We can actually just kind of go to town on him, and he'll eventually just go down. So took out Cam, got rid of his max health bonus, a unique, and we kill Barris, and we're done. So now moving on to ships. Pretty simple task here. They put down Executor in Profundity, which super fun for us. But I mean, if anyone knows the Profundity counter, if you get one of the right assists, either Outrider calling Millennium Falcon to assist, or Millennium Falcon calling Outrider to assist, and on his basic, you pretty much win. It's really hard to lose it if that doesn't happen. If that does happen, it's very easy to lose. So we do bring in our Cassian first, just so that we can cleanse the Millennium Falcon and they don't kill it. That actually can happen. That's never done that in JC, but I did do that in Arena once and learned my lesson very quickly. That being said, we got him cleansed up. We're able to kill their IG-2000. Now we just work on, I mean, this battle is over. The second that we were able to kill their, their Xanadu Blood in the opening, we probably, at least right now, we probably could just set this on auto and clear it with pretty decent banners. We go ahead and bring in our Phantom, or Ghost. I don't remember the name of either of them, but probably should have brought in the other one, but again, this just doesn't matter. Profundity just does so stinky well versus Executor. I absolutely love it. Such a good offensive fleet. It does hurt a little bit on our banner wise that we still are running a 6-star one, but I mean it's really hard to justify, at least for me, for that amount of crystals for a fleet that just does everything that I want it to. So now we have to take in our Empire versus their Profundity. And this one is just a little bit trickier for me. I've never really done it. And I should have reset blue stacks at this time too, because you can tell my screen's running a little bit slower than it should be. But, so we take in Marauder, Shuttle, and Emperor Palpatine. We basic with Tarkin on his first hit. We don't want to use the AoE because then we'll clear the days from his Outrider. We don't make anyone taunt, just keep going as normal. They start to bring in their Phoenix. We're still gaining a ton of bonus protection from Shuttle whenever we're crit. We do make sure to call in TIE Bomber first, apply the burning. Just basic. The reason why we just basic there is because we're going to want to call in the bigger hit much later on, not necessarily in the very beginning. And then they're not getting really all the assists. Oh, I guess they can't get the assists. They're dazed. And then we pretty much just power up. We now have the AoE that removes everything, and we just kind of wreck them now. I don't know this battle enough to know kind of where the auto point is, but it was pretty clear by here that they just weren't winning. We brought in Gar Saxon, pretty cool reinforcement to do a lot of things. We don't have anyone taunting, so Shuttle fixes that for us, which was pretty darn nice. And yeah, again, this battle is over. We call in our ultimate and everyone dies. So pretty cool in Tarkin. Didn't even need Scythe. And this last battle, I'm showing this just because we never had to do it before, and I guess that's kind of fun. They go ahead and they set the garbage Akbar team. So like you take Profundity, or you put Profundity on defense like this guy, and then every single other leftover rebel ship just goes here. And I mean, I think almost everything beats this. We contemplated using Finalizer on it, but figured Malevolence will be safer. Probably could have left Soldier on the bench, but didn't really matter. So ultimately, we crushed him. I was a little surprised, especially just because where we are on the leaderboard, we're higher than we've ever been. So I'm really expecting to either get slapped in this match or the next one or something, but we just keep going. So JMK's there surviving. We kind of saw how that happened. Then I guess I'll show my defense a little bit. Dude struggled. He went in. Lord Vader, I think, was one of the first teams he attacked. Failed, didn't kill anything, and then he just kept coming back to it and kept not killing anything. Don't really know what happened with Trega. Took 3 battles on Phasma. He did preload that. I feel like he might have, I don't know if he would have used Wampa right away. Wampa's a very bad idea because we have crew in there, so that'll stop that pretty quickly. Failed against Dash as well as Rey once. So banner-wise, he was just doing really poorly, and it didn't even matter that he didn't get to our CLS in the back wall. But yeah, this is a good win. And not only was it a good win, but this officially breaks our personal record for the leaderboard. We are currently ranked 188 in the game, which I think that honestly is a really cool accomplishment for me. I guess this is bragging at this point, but just to kind of see how far we've come to now, to, like, look at the people that we're up, or not up against, but we're kind of ranked near. Like Solo Base, he's a huge name, very competitive player. Cal Unleashed is the leader of Clone Unleashed, one of the best endgame guilds. Surgical Precision, Ranzelius. Like, maybe these names don't mean a lot to everyone who's watching, but like these are names in the game for me. These are very good players. Emo, we faced him before, a really good long time friend in a guild, as well as the Wolf, other content creator. Heinze himself. Just a lot of really cool names up this high. So I feel a little bit privileged. Common Villain, another content creator there, to be doing as well as we have. So I figured that was probably worth noting. And now we still have our third match to do, so we can climb just a little bit higher, or maybe start falling a lot. But thank you guys for watching, and until the next time, stay awesome.